oh, feel like a billion, oh, feel like I might drill like a oh.
Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here today with a new video. I know you're probably thinking, Naika, we're at a different location. Yes, we are. I decided to just do a video where I'm sitting down because it can get a bit, give you a lot sitting up for a little bit in recording and editing. So I decided to do a sit down video because, as you can see by the title, this will be a story time. And I wanted to just do a story time because I know I've been doing a lot of Love is Blind reviews and like pop culture. So I wanted to I asked people who my friends who follow me on Instagram, like, what would they prefer to see, a story time or something else? And by popular vote, story time won. So this video will be a story time. Once again, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, you know the deal. And yeah, hope you stick around and let's get started. Before I start, you know the deal. This story is solely meant to be like reflecting a moment of my life. I am not bashing any parties that are involved in this story. If anything, I'm just reflecting my experience and just, you know, expressing and like talking about my experience. And like, for those who are watching who are young adult, who are going to college or are currently in college, undergrad, who are, you know, might be experiencing some interesting roommate experiences, I just wanted to say, like, basically you're not alone. And like, I've had some stories, so you're not the only one. This is like a norm. So, but it depends on the level of like crazy roommate situation, but just letting you know you're not alone. And this is how I handle the situation, and like whatever you decide to do is up to you, but just be mindful this is how I did it. This video is meant to just provide a perspective and advice, but also I want to say, those who are watching and know me, I request that you do not ask who are these parties. For those who know, but if you know me and don't know who the parties are, I just request that you don't ask me. Even if you do know, it ruins the lesson out of the story. I don't want to create this video just to like bash just people, like, because I didn't, like, I graduated, they graduated, like, we're all living our own life, but I just wanted to just do this like kind of like a journaling. So I don't want people to be like, oh, who is this person? At the end of the day, like, all the stories that I tell, I will always say this, like, I do want to thank these people for, like, even though like my chapter has ended with them, like, they still were part of my life even for a period of time. Like, so I don't want to like fully bash them. So I just want to make that clear before people are like, oh, I don't know, like, what's going on. But yeah, so this is basically my undergrad experience with living in a roommate slash suites. I'll explain why. So freshman year, I'm moving in, and I was living in an all female identifying dorm, and that's just how I met my roommate. So I was able to move in because I participated in a program that my school was holding for like students who wanted, like, who were part of a identifying group. So I think it was either first gen or BIPOC. So I think I signed up for one of the programs and I got in. So I was able to move in with participating in the program. So I moved in like a few days before my roommate. My roommate was a international student. I'm not gonna say what country, but I met, it was very cute. And her mom and every parent, like, they're worried, like, I mean, even my mom, she was crying when I was moving in. Every parent would, but I told her, don't worry, like, I'm okay, like, don't worry, like, I'm not those crazy roommates, like, we'll be fine. And she's like, okay, thank you, like, I have trust in you because, like, I see you're also Christian as well. I'm not saying even if I wasn't Christian she wouldn't trust me, but like, I think we could find a common ground. So she's like, okay, yeah, then whatever, right? So with me being like kind of like, I had an advantage to come to my roommate. I was here a couple of days before, but I already made a few friends through the program that I did. So like, with hanging out with me, she was able to make some few friends, and we kind of had the same friend circles, right? So we'll call my roommate Naomi, right? So me and Naomi, we're chilling, like, everything's cool. It's like we're a couple first week, like orientation, everything's all right. And then I end up seeing one of my other friends, we'll call them Livia, who was part of the program as me. So Livia was part of the program, and they had a roommate, we'll call the roommate Monica. So Olivia, Monica, and Naomi. So Monica was Olivia's roommate, and somehow me and Monica, we became close friends. We're still close friends to this day. Monica, you know who it is because I texted you beforehand, so she knows who she is. That's like my day one, so I'm still close friends with her. Like, she's amazing. But that's how because every time we talk, we're like, how did we become friends? Because we had the same circle, but we can never really understand like how like we got so close pretty fast. But yeah, me and Monica, we started hanging out, and we should be talking about like our upbringing and everything was cool. So remember, so now the friend group is Naomi, Monica, Olivia, and me. So then I also met there's another person who did the program as well. We'll call her Nancy. So Nancy, remember the name. So Nancy, she was also part of the program. I started to talk to her because me, Olivia, and Nancy was like, we were in the program. I'm like, oh, okay, we started getting cool. So then my roommate Naomi got close with Nancy. Got pretty close because we're in the same circle, and Nancy was like talking to everyone. She was a very social butterfly. I'm not. For those who know me very well, know me like, it takes me a bit to be a social butterfly, but once I feel comfortable around you and I trust you, I'm like a whole different person. That's why people are like, oh, like she's very quiet, she's very, very reserved. It's like, no, I'm quiet and reserved because I don't know you yet, but once, like, if I care about you and like I'm cool with you, like, you're like, oh my god, Nika's very like, she has energy. But yeah, so it took me a bit, but then I was always a lot closer with Olivia and Monica. I don't know why, but I just clicked with them more than Nancy. Nancy was cool, but like I wasn't really as close because my roommate Naomi was a lot closer with Nancy, and her roommate, we'll call her Sophia. So let's say the group. So the group is my roommate Naomi, my friend Olivia, Monica, me, Nancy, and Sophia. So my roommate, then freshman year happens, like fall of freshman year, everything's okay, and then next thing you know, the pandemic happens. So it's COVID, the school's like, you gotta move out. I'm living in my roommate, everything's okay. We had like little like disagreements, but nothing crazy. It was like once about something, but it was all cool. So then after that, so lockdown happened around March. The school, most of us finished our spring semester by like early April because the school was still deciding if they wanted to reopen, if they're going to do a hybrid, completely online. And they were like, listen, y'all, we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple months, but we want you to apply for dorms. So like if you want to live in a single, double, suite, whatever. So our grade, so my freshman year was like, we had the largest acceptance rate, which was rare at that time, like this, because we had such a amount of students that applied. Due to that, it was a lot harder to find dorms, especially since there was like a dorm building that was just completely suites in our school, and for you to get that was really hard too. And everyone had a waiting number, like a number to wait, and we were figuring out what to do. Like my number was pretty low. We were all like, I was texting Monica like, what's your number? Everyone was texting each other, and we were deciding what to do because we were like, okay, it's a pandemic, like we don't know what's gonna happen. And I don't know who came with the idea, but someone was like, hey, I think we should live in a suite. If it's us 6, like each with a roommate, like Naomi and Naika, Monica and Olivia, and Nancy and Sophia. I think if we all live in a suite, I think it would be cool, especially if it were to be in the pandemic and we're in hybrid, like we still will be around each other to hang out, whatever. I'm like, okay. I mean, I didn't really feel comfortable, like, because I'm like, I'm about to deal with one person already, but you know, with 5 other people, I mean, why not, right? So we ended up getting a suite, but it wasn't the suite that we wanted. It was a suite in the same dorm that I lived in. So I lived in the same dorm for all 4 years in my undergrad experience. So I lived in that dorm, and once moving in happens, the moving was pushed by like a month. So because of like they had protocols and they're very strict, like we moved, if not late August, early September, they had a whole, like, you had to come in, you can only bring up to 2 guests. So it was my mom and my aunt who helped me move in, compared to like my freshman year, it was my mom, cousins, aunts, everyone. But with my sophomore year, it was just only my mom and my aunt. they all had to take tests. One person can go up with me in the room, one person can only stay outside. Like, I could have more than one guest in my like dorm. So once again, I moved in, so it was me, and then I noticed Monica also moved in early. I was like, oh hey Ashley, hey, how are you? We were just like catching up as we were moving in, but it was like a brief talk. So after that, what happened was, it took a bit to kind of us to open, because I'm at fault for this as well, because I'm not going to lie, the first month was hard on me first, because I'm like living with 5 other people, with people who have different personality, including me. We're in the middle of pandemic, and like, one thing about me, it's like, I didn't know, but like, I didn't know at the time it was me being anxious. I thought I was just like something like, that's how I am. But I noticed I got really anxious easily, especially when it comes to like communicating with people and like interactions. I was very big on that, and I noticed like when I would talk in the suites about rules or stuff like that, I feel like at the time like I wasn't being heard. This is how I see it now. I'm looking back, I'm like, okay, but like I feel like I wasn't being heard. Like, we were making rules, we were very strict. I was like, y'all, I'm just being mindful. Like, we're in the pandemic. I made it clear that I'm high risk, so the school's already saying you cannot bring any guests. Like, don't even bring outside guests, right? So that's even me risking the chance to see my mom or my aunt. And one thing people who know about me, I'm very close to my family, so it was hard for me not to really see them, especially for them to come upstairs. So they're like, you can't bring outside guests. We're very strict with that, which makes sense. We even had our own rules, like if each double can bring one guest. For example, so me and Naomi, if we want to bring a guest, we only can bring up one guest. Monica and Olivia can only bring one guest, and then Nancy and Sophia can only bring one guest, right? So those are rules that we came up with. And I remember, once again, living with 5 people, I noticed that someone had like they left like those like little oranges, like cute, I don't know, I can't think of the name right now, but there's like the small oranges, right? Oranges in late August. They left them in the corner, in the side. And I was like, one thing I know, like spending time in summer and heat, like if you leave food out for a long time, it's gonna turn into bugs automatically. And like, I could sense that. I was like, hey, I don't think you should leave that outside, because I feel like if you leave that, it's gonna turn into bugs or ants. She was like, oh no, that's whatever. That was Nancy. I'm like, okay, I mean, everyone has their own thing. And then like a couple hours later, I noticed like little ants. One thing about me, I hate bugs. I hate bugs. I don't like bugs. I hate it. Pet peeves. Oh my god. But one thing I noticed is I see little ants crawling in the side of the wall. I'm like, oh yeah, this is not it. And I told Nancy, I'm like, listen, like, could you clean it? She's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's just ants. But with me, it's like, it's a big deal, because I don't like bugs, right? This is a kind of like moment where we're kind of clashing, because it's like, for her it's nothing, but to me it's like, no, you know what I mean? So at that time we're still in each other, but I felt that in like other moments I wasn't really being heard. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do what I know best, keeping my distance and being quiet. Because it's like, if I was worried about kind of reacting and like going like, because I know like in the past, like sometimes like when you're upset, you act and think later, and I'll try my best not to like react and like scare them off, not scare them off, but like have them see me a different way. But not knowing that like me keeping my distance and not talking, they'll still see me that way that I was afraid of being seen. So I noticed that for a while, and then they noticed that as well, and like it kind of made them uncomfortable. And the reason why I kept my distance was because I just didn't want to like talk. It's like, if I talk, like y'all not gonna listen to me, like what's the point of like wasting my breath? But they don't understand, like we need to have a group meeting. They're like, Nika, like we noticed that like you haven't been like this, like we're trying to talk to you, this and the third. I'm like, and then I'm like, every time I try to talk, y'all don't listen to me. You really don't. What's the whole point of like, that's how I saw it. I'm like, I talked about this, no one listened to me. I talked about that, no one listens to me. Like, I feel like I'm not really being validated or heard in the suite. And then they explain their side, and they're like, no, this is what we think, da 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 da. After like having a discussion, we kind of made to agreement. I'm like, okay, we're like, after that, we both agreed on this part. Just keep your distance and just do what you can, but like interact. So after that, I was very like, I would interact, but I was very like walking on the eggshell. Like even when things happen, I wanted to get upset, I couldn't react. For example, Nancy had a boyfriend that went to like, the school was like one of the schools I was like close by. And as I mentioned before, the school is very strict about saying do not bring outside guests. The only guests you could bring were students who were living on campus. So remember I said Nancy had a boyfriend who lived who like went to the schools that were nearby. So technically, he could be considered an outside guest. We had, mind you, when we had a good group meeting, our first like sweet meeting, I told them, listen, I'm very strict. I don't like mindful. I'm high risk, so please be mindful that I have 2 chronic this illness that like if I were to catch the virus, I would be screwed. Before, because this was before the vaccination. And like I had Monica and Olivia who agreed with me. They're like, yeah, absolutely. Like, we don't want to put you at risk. Like, we think we agree with that. But then Nancy was like, oh, but like I want to bring my boyfriend. Like, he lives, like he like his school has the same like policies as y'all. Like, they have to test every 3 days. But I and like 2 other people didn't want to put that at risk because it's like the school is already strict on their protocols. They were strict about you have to get tested like every 3 days. If you didn't, they will knock on your door, and if you missed that warning, they would like cut off your Wi-Fi and everything, and you couldn't even attend class. That's how strict they were. And they had the RAs like walking around the halls, so like you would see them like with their masks like walking. They were very strict because it was like barely people in, but they're trying to be like very like cautious. So I was worried because it's like, imagine that, like if one of us gets in trouble, we're all gonna get in trouble, right? So then after that, what happened was Nancy ended up bringing her boyfriend because we did a vote, and like or like her roommate Sophia was really pushing us like to have the boyfriend come over. This and the deal, like we're overreacting, and I'm like I'm not gonna react. We already had a reaction last time. Just, you know, do what you can. Just keep your distance, wear your mask. I was like, whatever, because she was very pushing us to like have her boyfriend over. This is gonna be very important, right? So boyfriend ends up coming. He was a pretty cool, chill guy, but like I kept my distance. I was mostly staying in my room, but like, I'm not gonna ignore him. Like we were still hanging out in the living room. Everything was okay. But in my back of my head, I'm like, listen, I could have used this to literally have my mom come, because my mom before like freshman year, she would come like every weekend and bring me food, and like it's been a while since I had like home cooked meal and all that. But she could have helped me with the medication. Like I was struggling to inject myself weekly, and like she would have like, if it wasn't for that, she would have come weekly to help me out and also just like catch up, bring me food, right? So then that happens. So this is like all the fall of like in this week. So then this is like the week of election. I remember this. It was like the week of like when Biden was elected. So remember how like, for those who remember, when the election race was going between Trump and Biden, the results were a bit delayed because of the whole pandemic. People were doing mail voting by mail. So the night of the election, we wouldn't really get the results. So remember I said that how my school was very strict. You couldn't even really go outside unless like you needed to, like if you needed to go grocery shopping. After that, like the school recommended you not to go out unless it was for a necessity thing. So like for partying, that was a no. Tell me why Nancy and Sophia decided to go to a party. Remember, y'all, I told you I was high risk. You're already inviting your boyfriend in, which was a big no-no. Now you're going to a party and not thinking about others. Forget me. It's, if one of us gets sick, we all get sick, right? So then we're going to a party. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything because I'm already gonna be viewed as the, like last time. I'm still thinking about the like little like clash thing we had last time. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna react. So then I'm back super late because it was like, mind you, this was a Tuesday and I had class early morning. So then I hear a knock, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna check. And so I was like, everybody go check. So then she, no. So we decided to go check together, and we noticed it was them. Okay, very loud, like, you know, they were having a time. They had a party. So then after, so that was one example. So now I'm gonna get to like, that was all in fall, right? Then I'm gonna get to spring when things start to get a little bit crazy.
Oh,